So let's rewind to September, shall we? App State has an incredible month. They have this epic fourth quarter, and they almost beat North Carolina in Boone. And then they followed up with what could have been an easy letdown game against Troy, right? And then, I'm sorry.
No, they beat Texas A&M.
They beat
first.
Texas A&M. My bad. I'm getting my weeks confused. So they backed it up. They go to Texas A&M, and they beat A&M. They beat the Aggies.
Then a top 10 team.
Then there's the Troy game with game day in town after they had beaten
Correct.
Texas A&M. That looked like a letdown game, but miraculously, they come back with just a wild Hail Mary, and they win the game. And I don't think we've talked about App State since. But during that time, there was a discussion about who was the best program in North Carolina. And App State fans were coming out of the woodwork. And I understood, man. Like, it was an incredible 3 weeks of football for App State. And our friend and colleague, Andrew Carter, doubled down. App State's the best program in the state. You know, they've won conference titles and everything else. And I thought to myself, let's not get crazy here. Are we going to revisit that conversation now? Does the fact that they're 4-4 so far this year kind of take away from that argument? Does it matter? I'm sorry.
We've had
5-5.
We've had different discussions about this.
Okay.
We've had a discussion about which season would you rather have,
Mm-hmm.
and who's the best program in the state. So which conversation are we having right now?
So which conversation you want to start with? You want to have the best program in the state conversation, or the?
We could literally fill the rest of football season with the best program in the state.
Thank you. And the
with
reason
different arguments for each one.
It's a trick question, because I could sit here and tell you there is no best program in the state. They all have their flaws.
And that's why they are the way that they are, just in case you don't know.
Yes. So Wake Forest fans will tell you, we're the best program in the state. Well, yeah,
maybe sit this one out now, guys.
maybe not now, right?
Yeah.
Carolina fans might, no, look at us. Like, we just won the Coastal Division. Yeah, but what about last year? Or what, other instances where you've had letdown games against in-state opponents, right? You've lost to ECU, a bunch of times. I mean, you've been embarrassed. You've been the greatest night ever in Greenville a couple of times, right? Same thing with NC State. I mean, I don't think NC State's going to be out here claiming they're the best program in the state.
Not after last week.
Not after last week. So it's a trick question, because North Carolina has the state of North Carolina has a lot of things that are going against it. Too many football programs in the state to begin with. And then you also have other programs from outside the state that come in and take their best players. This is a tale as old as time. And I said this yesterday about North Carolina versus NC State. Don't get caught up in the trap of thinking that there's some sort of inflection point between the Tar Heels and the Wolfpack. I could actually balloon this out to every program in the state. Never get caught in the trap thinking it's some sort of inflection point, that this is going to be the program that's going to have this run for the next 10 years. No. There's an ebb and a flow. There's a balance to this. You can use NC State and North Carolina as a prime example. Last year it was, oh man, Carolina with the recruits and Sam Howell, and they got this opportunity, and it didn't happen for them. And NC State ended up having the sneaky good year last year, including a win against North Carolina.
Wake Forest had the actual best year.
They had the best year, but you see what I'm saying specifically to NC State and North Carolina.
Sure.
And then they had the role reversal this year, where NC State was positioned as, hey, man, this is the breakthrough. This is what they've been building towards. They're bringing everybody back. They just had 30 guys honored on a senior day, and they lost to Boston College. And Carolina, it's an unknown. They got Drake May. What's going to look like? How's it played out? Well, NC State's having the disappointing season, and Carolina just won the damn Coastal. So to just kind of put a cherry on top of my point about the best program in the state conversation is there is no best program in the state. Is a rotating group of teams that are going to have their moments in the sun, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, to your question, it's time to revisit, whose season would you rather have? Would you rather have App State's year, where you were the kings of September? You got game day. You've got this thing with Texas A&M. You could have beaten Carolina, the what-ifs. Had a hell of a September. Or would you now be North Carolina, who ended up winning the Coastal last week with a win over Wake Forest? Who would you rather be?
You're still dumping the Gatorade a little bit early here.
I don't think I am, but continue.
Okay. Well, I mean, who does Carolina have left?
Well, they got Georgia Tech and they got State.
Okay.
And a championship game against Clemson.
I think if Carolina wins the ACC, there's no doubt.
I think winning
There's
the Coastal,
no doubt.
I think winning the Coastal and how Drake May has played all year has
Drake May's been fantastic.
It's made it so that Carolina, I think, would be happy with whatever happens the rest of the way. I do. I really do.
I don't know.
Well, how would you know? There's no Carolina fans that exist.
Carolina football fans. Oh my gosh.
See,
it's a hobby. And if you don't believe me, by the way, go ask Mac Brown. Or better yet, go figure out why Mac Brown left the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he might be a Tar Heel when he's dead, but he's not a Tar Heel born and bred.
Well, that was also 25 years ago. So, and a lot has changed.
What has changed significantly since then?
Well, I think there's been more.
What? All of the ACC titles that they've won in the interim?
It's not an ACC titles. It's not an argument about that.
Right.
That's a silly thing to go with.
Not really. You're saying it's changed in the last 25 years. What has, to your point, this area is the same every year. It's like a Groundhog's Day episode.
What I'm saying is
between the programs.
You got to remember that there are people coming through college who have been grown on college football. All right, college football is the king. All right, and that's what people watch. Look at the ratings. So
in Chapel Hill,
I'm saying there is a group of people that truly care about football and would like to see it succeed in football. There are people who ride for football.
I'm not
everywhere.
denying that people want to. I'm saying what I'm saying about North Carolina football is when they're good, they're happy.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be? They're 9-1.
Yeah, and when they're not,
they have
good,
a Heisman candidate.
And when they're not,
when last year went sideways. Don't make me go back and take screen grabs of the crowds from those games.
You can see that at a lot of different places. You can see that at a lot of different places. No. See, you've created in your head this myth that Carolina fans are like the only ones who leave their football. I mean, for heaven's sake, I've seen empty Carter Finley Stadium spots, man. Come on.
I'm not blaming. North Carolina has the thing, and they have every other thing. They don't have to hang their hat on football.
What I'm saying is this argument about empty seats is a not a great argument, because I can point to many instances where people left. Hell, did we not just talk about the Virginia Tech North Carolina State game where people left because they were disgusted with what they saw? So don't give me this, oh, well, I can show you empty seats. Buddy, I can show you some empty seats. Do we need to go back to 2018 against Clemson in the first quarter?
They'd have to show up for the game to begin with, though, is what I'm getting at.
They do show up, though, man. They do show up. So, I don't know, man. I think you've created this thing in your head about Carolina fans that I just don't agree with, and you're acting as though, oh, well, then people didn't show up. Man, I can point to many instances when people didn't show up to Carter Finley Stadium. Many times. Or they leave. And the reason why they leave is because when I go back to the tailgate.
You're not arguing that North Carolina fans are as engaged in football as NC State fans. You're not doing that right now, are you?
Are you making a blanket statement?
Yes.
No, they're not as engaged.
Okay.
But you're acting as though they don't exist.
It's a hobby. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm saying it's a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with a hobby.
Okay.
I like golf. I like to gamble. They're hobbies. They're not my life, but they're hobbies. I enjoy them. When I'm playing,
I'm sorry.
When I'm playing well,
did you say gambling's not your life?
When things are going well, love it.
I'm sorry.
When it's not, it's a hobby.
I'm sorry. Did I say you said gambling's not your life?
I did say that.
Okay.
I did.
Got it.